This week on The Bold and the Beautiful, Hope Logan will finally erupt in fury, unleashing the full force of her anger at Grace Buckingham. After weeks of lies, fake diagnoses, and a heartless scam that preyed on Liam Spencer's life, the truth is out. And the fallout is explosive. Hope Logan has always been the voice of reason and compassion on The Bold and the Beautiful, but in the upcoming episodes from August 4th to 8th, viewers will see a side of her they've never witnessed before, a side filled with raw anger, betrayal, and a mother's fierce protectiveness. For weeks, Hope has lived in a constant state of dread, believing that the love of her life, Liam Spencer, was dying from an inoperable brain tumor. She has held his hand, wiped away his tears, and whispered reassurances to him late at night, even as her own heart shattered. She imagined having to explain to little Beth and Kelly why their father would never tuck them into bed again. She prepared herself to say goodbye, all because of a devastating medical diagnosis, one delivered by a woman she trusted. But this week, the cruel truth is revealed. It was all a lie. Grace Buckingham fabricated Liam's diagnosis, manipulated his medication, and staged a fake procedure. And now Hope's heartbreak will ignite into a storm of fury that shakes the Forrester and Spencer families to their core. It all begins when John Finnegan finally pieces together the medical puzzle. The scans Grace showed them never belonged to Liam. His brain tumor never existed. The procedure Bill Spencer paid $1 million for, a complete fabrication. When Finn brings Grace to the Spencer estate to confess, Hope happens to be there. At first, she can't believe what she's hearing. Her face freezes in shock, her eyes wide as Grace hesitantly begins to explain. And then, like a dam breaking, the fury erupts. "You lied to us!" Hope shouts, her voice trembling with rage. "You made Liam believe he was dying. You made me prepare my little girl to lose her father." The room falls silent as Hope's voice echoes, heavy with emotion. Every word cuts like a blade, and Grace can only stammer weak excuses about debt and desperation. Hope's anger doesn't creep in quietly. It crashes into the room like a tidal wave. She begins pacing, her hands trembling as her emotions boil over. Every step she takes is filled with an energy that makes everyone present hold their breath. Her eyes are locked on Grace Buckingham, the woman she once trusted, and now all she can see is betrayal. Years of respect, of believing in Grace as a competent doctor and friend, crumble in an instant. "You swore an oath as a doctor to do no harm." Hope's voice cracks with both rage and disbelief. "And yet you hurt all of us in the worst way imaginable." The accusation cuts through the air, sharp and raw. Grace stammers, trying to defend herself, saying that Liam was never in actual physical danger, that he would have healed from his injuries anyway. But her words are like gasoline on the fire. "No danger?" Hope's voice rises, trembling with fury. "You stole his peace of mind. You stole our sleep. You made us mourn a man who wasn't even dying." The room goes silent, except for her heavy breaths. Hope's mind flashes back to all the nights she sat by Liam's side, holding his hand as he drifted in and out of fear. She remembers whispering promises to Beth that Daddy would be okay, even when she wasn't sure herself. Her words pour out now like a storm, heartbreak and fury intertwined, unstoppable and devastating. Hope's rage is not just anger, it is the reflection of unimaginable pain. Her fury is fueled by the deep emotional wound that Grace has carved into her life. This wasn't just a cruel game against Liam, it was an attack on their entire family, an emotional ambush that left scars on every heart it touched. For days, Hope and Steffi Forrester lived in a quiet nightmare, trying to figure out how to prepare their daughters for the loss of their father. In hushed voices behind closed doors, they whispered about grief and goodbyes. They imagined hospital vigils and tearful conversations with Beth and Kelly. They wondered how to explain to two little girls that the man they adored, the center of their world, would soon be gone. And now, standing in the living room with Grace stammering excuses, Hope realizes it was all for nothing. Her chest tightens as the memories hit her, Beth's innocent questions about Daddy, the private tears she shed when Liam wasn't looking, the cold fear of waking up alone in a world without him. "You made me believe I would have to bury the man I love." Hope's voice breaks, the pain spilling out in every syllable. "And you made me prepare to explain to my daughter why her daddy was never coming home." Tears shimmer in her eyes, but they are accompanied by a fire that refuses to die. Grace hasn't just hurt Liam. She exploited Hope's love, her vulnerability as a mother, and her most sacred fears. As the weight of the betrayal settles in the room, Bill Spencer's anger simmers in the background, his jaw tight as he thinks about the $1 million he spent on a lie. But it is Hope who truly delivers the emotional punishment, her voice trembling with righteous fury. She takes a slow, deliberate step toward Grace, her face a mixture of heartbreak and resolve. "No apology, no excuse, no debt in the world can justify what you've done. You didn't just commit fraud, you destroyed trust. You broke hearts, and you almost tore my family apart." Grace's eyes glisten with shame as Hope continues, her tone dropping to a low, lethal whisper. "I will never forgive you for what you did to us. You don't deserve to call yourself a doctor, or even a human being." The room is thick with silence. Even Finn, holding the evidence of Grace's deceit, looks shaken as he witnesses Hope's emotional devastation transform into something unrelenting. For the first time, Grace seems to feel the true gravity of her actions. Finn moves to call the authorities and begin the process of reporting her to the medical board, while Hope clutches Liam's hand with a trembling grip. Her fury is no longer just anger. It is the embodiment of justice for the family that almost lost everything. As the camera lingers on Hope's tear-streaked face, viewers can feel the echo of her wrath. Grace's cruel manipulation has ignited a storm, and now, there will be no escape from the consequences. Hope Logan's fury doesn't fade when the confrontation ends. It lingers in the air like smoke after a raging fire. Her words, sharp and heavy with emotion, echo in the walls of the Spencer estate. Grace Buckingham may have left the room in shame, but the devastation she caused cannot be so easily erased. Hope stands at the heart of her family, trembling with both relief and rage, knowing that the nightmare she endured was born from a cruel deception. The emotional scars of this betrayal run deep. Liam now has to process the shock of having lived through his own death, believing that his days were numbered. Steffi will have to explain to Kelly why Daddy was so sad, why Mommy cried so often, and why their hearts were on the verge of breaking. And for Hope, the pain will come in waves long after Grace is gone. Every time she looks at Beth, she will remember the nights she prepared herself to tell her little girl that Daddy wasn't coming home. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, betrayal is nothing new, but this level of manipulation cuts deeper than almost anything fans have seen. This is more than drama, it's emotional warfare. Grace has not just lost her reputation, she has shattered the fragile trust of a family that will never forget what she put them through. Even if she avoids prison, she will face a lifetime of being known as the doctor who weaponized fear, using love and innocence as her pawns. As the credits roll on this explosive week, one question haunts the story like a ghost. Will Hope's fury be enough to bring Grace to her ultimate downfall, or has the damage already been done? For now, the storm inside Hope Logan is far from over, and the emotional aftershocks will ripple through Los Angeles for weeks to come. And